Hey gaming grillers, it's your boy Mr. B, and thank you for tuning in to my review of Anthem. Now, before we get into this, there's a couple of things you need to know. This review is based on the PS4 version, not the PC one, so I believe there's been some quote-unquote issues, and for all those reviewers out there that have unfairly, and these are for only those that have unfairly reviewed this game just to stick a middle finger up at EA, I have a friend here called Lenny G, you might remember him, who has something to say to you. Take it away, Lenny boy.
Is my mic working?
Yes, it's working, Lenny. Go for it. What have you got to say?
I just want to say, it's Joakim and the horseshoes having rolled in on dickheads. You're supposed to be giving constructive criticism, not just being a cop for the sake of it.
Wait, I think that's enough, Lenny. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, you dickheads just get my goat, they do. They're pathetic. In fact, if you didn't understand my true feelings, here's some sign language for you.
Oh, Jesus Christ, he's back. What can I say? He's back. So, without any further ado and all the fluff and bullshit to one side, for the love of God, let's do this. Okay, so listen, I know reviews can be biased because it all depends on how that certain person takes it. I've looked at a lot of reviews because I wanted to refine my review process, and I boiled it down to three things: the key positives, the key negatives, and the grey areas, things that personally affected me. And when you take all that into account, you'll be able to grasp on what you should be able to do. And just in case you aren't able to make up your own opinion, I give you my verdict at the end, which I think is the fairest way to review anything. It's the Top Gear way, it's the Jeremy Clarkson way, and we all know Jeremy Clarkson is my personal god. So let's get into the key positives. For me, the key positives were the gameplay. It had smooth transitions from walking to run to flight, even going into the underwater. The transitions themselves, when you're running along, and especially when you're in fights and things like that, are silky smooth and designed perfectly. You really do feel like Iron Man in a new suit, in a fancy new suit. Which brings me on to another positive, the customization of the suits. You can really give them your own personal edge. You know, I personally like the red and black of the N70s because I'm a mark for Mass Effect. As soon as I saw the N7 buy for 46,000 credits, it was done. Here's me money, take it. I want that N7 logo because I'm a mark for Mass Effect. So I got to create my own javelin, which was the Interceptor class, because I loved the Interceptor class, to fit my style. And when I landed and I saw, you know, a couple of javelins looking at me going, feck, you know, look at that sexy bastard, it made me feel good. So to me, that's another good key positive. Another key positive is shooting in terms of combat targeting. It's actually, for a third-person shooter, it harks back to the Mass Effect days. A bit like how it did in Andromeda. It's just tightly over the shoulders. You can see what you're shooting at without it being too obstructive. Also, as well, in the combatant targeting, is the 3D aspect of the fights, whether you're fighting from underneath, from up above. It's not just a plain level combat. You're not just, you're on the ground, they're on the ground, their ground might be slightly higher, you know, like Destiny-esque. This is, there's full on, you're either up in the sky, you're either down below, and you can switch from wherever you want to be in the fight to get a better angle on who you're fighting against. I love that. That is a fantastic quality which gives it a unique feel compared to any other looter shooter. When you combine both the combat and how you like to look, it then leads into the way you can spec your javelin. Now this is more in the latter stages, when you start getting a few games, you can actually craft things. You can actually spec your character in several different ways, and you can actually make several different loadouts as well, a la the Division. So if you want to be a support character that purely freezes everything so you can set up combos and things like that, you can do it. If you want a DPS character, you can do it. There are ways and means to set up your character in different ways. So technically you have 4 javelins that can be set up 2 or 3 ways a piece. That is good choice, especially when you're talking about team composition, when you're going strongholds and things like that. And hopefully, maybe, fingers crossed, BioWare, raids, you never know. As far as the graphics concerned, especially on OG PlayStations, we're not talking PlayStation Pro here, I'm not a pro scrub yet.
However, donations are gladly accepted.
Shut up, Lenny. What have I told you? We don't beg on this channel.
What's his wee, fat boy?
Oh, that's it. Back in the box you go.
No.
There. So where was it? Graphics. The graphics on the OG PlayStation are good. Not mind-blowing, just good. There's still a few issues that irk the shit out of me, but I'm still putting it in the positive. I'll probably mention in the grey area, but in fact, no, I'll mention it now. The only thing that stops it being great is little things like bushes that disappear when you walk through them. For me, that's just wrong. I am a 3-ton javelin that should crumble under my fucking feet. It's just little design choices like that just fail to give it its polish. And I hate using the term lazy because developers have a hell of a job doing things, but it just makes it seem that way, and it's understandable why, when design choices like that are made, how certain YouTubers can pull them out and start calling them names like lazy. I just feel that there has to be somebody there within BioWare that has the graphical skill to polish these areas up. And just to be clear here, that might be in the process of being done. I doubt it. I said this in the demos, but I wish that when somebody was quality checking this game, they'd have seen that and gone, hang on a minute, this needs sorting, so it doesn't feel right. Moving on. The last positive for me is there's some good characters in there. This is BioWare's bread and butter, his character development. There's one character in particular called Halleck, who you do feel for on occasion. So there is some good writing in there, and certainly some good voice acting. The voice acting and the facial tracking is well above for what we're used to from BioWare, especially when you take into consideration Andromeda. It is chalk and cheese. And for me, it does help immerse a bit, but it could have been better. It harks back to the polishing thing, but they're the positives. Not bad overall. Now we delve into the world of negatives. I probably should pull energy out the box for this, but I'm not gonna. He's already giving me a fucking headache. Now look, before I get into this, please understand this is purely objective. This is not me stomping on EA. BioWare is one of my favourite companies. If I could be a BioWare representative, I'd do it for free. I love BioWare, but there's some negatives that need to be called out, and if people have negatives about my videos, I'm the first person to listen to them, because even when they're being arseholes about it, you know, even when they just be nasty for nasty's sake. The first negative are the guns. They sound so flat and feel so unpowerful. In fact, they're almost a waste of time. The snipers are useless apart from the Devastator. All the shotguns are weak as fish piss. The burst rifles have way too much recoil. The marksman rifles might as well fire swear words. In fact, the only rifles that are worth having for me are the automatic rifles and some of the LMGs, but even then they are still lacking punch. The gun system needs a full rework in my view. It needs a full sound rework, it needs a full damage rework, the actions or the effects of the enemies getting hit needs a rework. It just needs to feel more powerful. The guns shouldn't feel like a stopgap between your abilities. They just shouldn't, but they do, and that's a sad thing for me, because if I remember correctly in Andromeda, the guns felt amazing, and I enjoyed the gunplay and the gameplay in Andromeda. It was fantastic. In this one, however, failed big time. Another negative is the Fort Tarsis art direction just hasn't worked. Look, I clearly got where they was trying to go. It was clearly obvious that BioWare wanted you to make an emotional connection to Fort Tarsis as your main hub, and the way they were going to do that is through meaningful interactions with the inhabitants. But they all feel unnatural. Nobody speaks to you unless they're spoken to, and in life that doesn't happen unless you're Donald Trump. And let's face it, I ain't that dickhead, and neither any of you. So if you're walking down the high street or somewhere, if you're walking down a small community where the chances are you are going to know at least one person, someone's going to say hi, someone's going to do something. I said on Twitter yesterday, Fort Tarsis would have been a million times better if it was just more interactive, not in the way of me going to talk to someone, but someone coming to talk to me. I put an idea forward to one of the, he didn't like it, but I did, which was, can you imagine if you walk into your javelin and all of a sudden your arm gets dragged and there's a teary-eyed woman in front of you begging you to go save her daughter who's just been kidnapped by scars, but you've got a choice to make because you only have 10 minutes to get out and get the resources needed for that Fort Tarsis needs, or you've got 10 minutes to save this girl. All of a sudden you're given a moral conflict, you're given a choice to make, and those choices impact Fort Tarsis, which then makes you care about Fort Tarsis, and things like that are just not to be seen anywhere. Nobody talks to you, nobody comes near you, and everybody's stood in a stupid teapot pose. There's 4 guys around a barbecue and they've never moved. One of them must have piles by now, for feck's sake. I mean, it just begs belief. The most meaningful thing that I found in the whole of Fort Tarsis was bringing an alcoholic and a grain woman together because they had an idea, and that was the most meaningful thing I did in the whole of Fort Tarsis. And it's a shame because BioWare are experts at this, and I just don't understand how they could have got this so wrong. Such a shame, such a shame. But again, that is something that can be improved in future. Yes, it feels void of life now, but it might improve in the future, so don't just give up on that yet. But as of right now, it's a negative. Another negative, and I've got to say this boggles my mind. Look, I don't care about microtransactions, especially if they're only cosmetic. Fine, I don't give a shit about it. I'm not one of these geezers that'll jump on the bandwagon and go, oh, microtransactions are stupid and wrong. Loot boxes are stupid and wrong because that's gambling. No matter what way you flower it up, it's gambling. Microtransactions, I don't give a shit about. I never have done. If someone wants to pay £5 for a skin, let them pay £5 for a skin. It's their money. It's up to them. As long as they've got some sort of parental control so some little shit can't nick my credit card and do it, fine. There's 2 stores in Fort Tarsis, and yes, they both have different names. One's something and the other one's twatty bollocks. I can't remember the names. But they both sell the exact same icons, and the most embarrassing and almost insulting thing about it is that one loads you up on one tab and one loads you up on the other, thinking and hoping you wouldn't bloody notice, but you can scroll through all 3 tabs on both shops and they both sell the exact same things for the exact same cost, which is stupidly enough the exact same cost as you can do it in your forge. Surely to God, there should be some sort of discount for you having to physically purchase them or the crafting. If you're going to craft, it should cost you less coin. If you're going to purchase it, it should cost you no materials, for instance. Where's the trading system? Oh, the economy just winds me up because, again, it just makes BioWare look lazy. And I hate using that term, but it's the only thing I can think of, and it pisses me off because they can do so much better. I've seen them do better. I wish I could have a heart-to-heart with Mark Durrell. I think I've tweeted him like 10 times. I don't think he's ever contacted me once. In fact, I'm going to start running a sweepstake on when or if he'll ever reply to one of my tweets. I went it down at 2021. Who's in? I'll put £5 down. He'll message me by 2021. But and I'd love to have a sit down with him and just ask why those design choices were made and what justification they have behind making those design choices. Maybe there's some logical explanation that I'm missing. And I would honestly, and if there is, I'll be the first to put my hands up and go, no, fair game, I get it. I get what you was trying to do. But in this case with the economy, I don't. I genuinely don't. And to me, it's insulting. But I'm not going to carry on ranting about it. So, they're the big negatives. Now we're going to get into the grey areas. What I mean by grey areas is these are the things that affect me personally. Okay? They might not affect everybody else, but these are the things that I found personally annoying. 90% of the lore is in written text form. That turns me off. Always have done. I didn't read the Grimoire cards. In fact, I know a shit ton about Destiny lore all because of Myling Games. There was no way on earth I was going to sit there and start reading Grimoire cards. I'd go to sleep doing it. I'd never be able to get past the first sentence. For me personally, a better design choice is do old recordings. You know, find old holograms, things like that. You know, the lore is fascinating as shit. One of the things that I question when walking around, and this will blow your mind, you look at everything that's around there, yeah? You look at the way things are built, you look at the shapers and all that sort of stuff. And the first thing that comes to mind was how everything appeared so human, but you clearly wasn't on Earth. Were the shapers originally from Earth? And obviously over time, shit's happened and history's got lost and humanity's just tried to explain its way in the way that it always does. It's lightning, so it must be a god that's angry. And that's obviously what's come up in how you know Anthem now, but it just feels to me that the first colony on the planet could have been from Earth, could have been explorers from Earth. And shapers are people that came in to terraform the planet for you. Shapers, terraforming, same thing. But anyway, you see the potential of where this could have gone with the lore. The potential is there. Now, I've not read the comic by Dark Horse, and I plan to, but I just haven't yet. It could be in there. If it is, sorry, I haven't read it. I promise you I haven't. If it isn't, I want money. This is my idea. I want money. But the straight fact is, I ain't going to read all these sorts of shit just to find out if it is or isn't. There must be a fucking novel in there to read. I'm just not prepared to do it. So for me personally, that is a turn off. Another turn off for me is the story is a tad generic. Tad, that's nitpicking. It's your basic hero story. Shit goes wrong in the beginning, you fight your way back, you meet up with old friends and you go right or wrong. Story. It's the same story that we've had for hundreds of years. The last grey area for me that we're going to touch on, however, is a controversial one. It's the loading screens. Now, there's a reason why I haven't put this in negatives. There's a big reason why I haven't put this in negatives. The first reason is that the actual loading times are not much different than Destiny 2's. The difference is that Anthem doesn't hide the loading screens behind flying ship screensavers. That's the difference right there. It's almost as if the design choice was as if to say, no, we don't want to hide our loading screens, we don't want to be that type of company, we're going to say, just fucking deal with it. And that is how they came across, and to me, wrong choice. They should have hid the loading screens any way possible. Any way possible. But by not doing that, of course, it's just an odd, it's just a really, really, really odd design choice, because everybody knows that loading screens are easily one of the biggest triggers for any critic to rape your game without any Vaseline. Or warning, I might add. It's just an odd design choice, and for me, Stupid. But anyway, that's the positives, the negatives, and the grey areas. So what's my verdict? Right, well, there's a bit of a hands up moment here. I purchased my copy from Shop 2 for 32 quid. Pre-ordered, brand new. If I'd have paid 50 or 60 quid for it, I would have been pissed. However, this game does have a massive amount of potential, and credit where credit's due here. The team at BioWare are on the ball with fixing issues, so that gives me confidence. Because at the end of the day, you don't spend that much time fixing issues and dealing with complaints and speaking to the community, even though they're not speaking to me, but speaking to the community, if you're not prepared to put a shitload of time in it going forward. So again, the game has a ton of potential. However, right now, if you to ask, would I buy it full price? No, I wouldn't, personally. I would, being the tight northern bastard I am, just search for the buy and sell groups on Facebook, find a copy for 20-30 quid, or wait for a sale. So that's it. That's my review. That's what I think you should do. What do you think of Anthem? Do you have any thoughts on it? Do you agree or disagree with anything I'm saying? Do you hate this format of my reviews? If you do, get it in the comment section and I'll tell you why you're wrong. I'll try to anyway. But anyway, that's all from me, Mr. B. And Lenny G, you going to say anything? No, he's got nothing to say. Until next time, ta-ta for now.